Hey, this is Michelle, and you're listening to Words with Michelle, the podcast, a show where I sit down and have conversations with influencers on a range of topics, anything from natural hair, employment, discrimination, food, relationships, and everything in between. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. If you want to send me an email, hit me up at michelle@wordsmichelle.com. Thanks for tuning into the latest episode of Words with Michelle, the podcast. This episode is really special to me. Yes, all of my episodes are special, but in this episode, I sit with artist Kofi Frempong, someone that has been previously featured on my blog and my podcast, and is one of the 21 changemakers in my book. And I start off telling him why I chose him to be in my book. But the main focus of today's show is a follow up to our interview from 2018. Kofi speaks about balancing art and family now that he's a full time artist. But before we get into the show, and you hear Kofi's reaction to being in the book and why his words hit me so deeply, I would like you to know that this episode is sponsored by my new book, Words with Michelle, Inspirational Conversations with Today's Black Canadian Changemakers. Words with Michelle, Inspirational Conversations with Today's Black Canadian Changemakers is a book about the lessons I learned from prominent Black Canadians over the past 10 years. I use these lessons to help me make career decisions and take it to the next level. I didn't always apply these lessons correctly or at all, and you'll see that in the book. But I wanted to share with you how you can use these lessons to help you in pursuit of your dreams. My book is available on Amazon and Indigo. I hope you enjoy the book. Now back to the show. I felt so happy to tell Kofi how his words made me feel. I just remember what he said in our original interview. But who knew almost 6 years later, I'd be reciting his words to myself. Let the process be the process. Thanks, Kofi. Here's a clip of our conversation where I tell him what his words meant to me. You said something in our interview, which was in 2018, and I used it last year when I had to have surgery. Actually,
Oh, wow.
it wasn't even just when I had to have surgery. It was prior to that. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it really scared me. I was terrified. And then because I had to do CT scans, MRIs, tons of blood work,
Mm,
multiple doctors. It was like, that was my summer of last year.
mm,
So
mm,
last year was very scary. That's why I wasn't really on social media. I dropped off of it. I did like a recap show at the end of the year, just letting people know why I dropped off.
mm,
I didn't have the energy. It just because when you have fibroids, I had no iron. I was iron deficient,
mm.
so I had no
Yeah,
energy for anything. But I just want to say thank you because your words helped me to go through a very scary part in my
my
life.
pleasure.
And so thank you so much. I finally get to tell you. Thanks for being a part of my journey, Kofi. In this episode, I wanted to follow up with Kofi. I wanted to know what was going on in his life and his art. He speaks about being a full time artist and being a work from home dad. He shares the joys of working at home and spending quality time with his family, and also how his days are now different now that he's a full time artist. Join me in welcoming Kofi back to the show. I start off asking him what has changed in his life since our last interview. We spoke in 2018. What has been
Mhm.
going on with you since 2018?
Oh man, since 2018, where do I start? My wife graduated from the midwifery program in 2019.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, in 2019, she was in her last year. So she had moved to Windsor, with my two girls to stay with my in-laws while I stayed in Toronto to work because we needed some kind of like steady and reliable income.
Yeah.
So I was in my career still in Toronto by myself, and they were all over here.
Oh my gosh.
Um, So like they had like generations of support. Um, my father and mother-in-law, um, my sister, four out of six siblings, um, um, my wife's grandmother. Like the support was here for the family. So financially, I was working just to, do what I can to sustain the family.
Yeah.
The agreement was that once she graduated, I would move here, take a 1 year sabbatical, and see how things went over here with the family in Windsor. If it worked out, then I would quit my job and then just literally just relocate here. If it didn't work out, then the family would come back to Toronto. So either way, we would be together.
Yeah.
It really depended on what the first year would look like. Um, so my wife graduates 2020. I'm still on my 1 year leave, and this is like while COVID is happening. My employer uh, puts together a policy to say that you can only come back if you're vaccinated. And at the time, with all the stuff with vaccination,
Yeah.
I wasn't anti-vaccination uh, or pro-vaccination. For me, it was just like I wanted people to have their choice based on the information that they got. And for me, based on the information that I got, I made the decision that it wouldn't necessarily be the healthiest choice for me.
Hmm.
Um, Hindsight, it worked out. I'm still here. uh,
That's funny.
but um, that actually made my decision to leave my job a lot easier
Mm.
because, this was the ultimatum. Either you get vaccinated or you don't come back. So I was
Oh,
like, all right, I'll just retire from there, become a full-time artist and in Windsor and be with my family. So that's what it's been ever since.
wow. What was your job before?
I was a community health worker.
Okay, I do remember that. Yeah, okay. I
Yeah.
didn't know you were still doing that. Okay. So
Mm.
after like 2020 or 2021, you full-time artist.
Um, I'd say about 2020.
Oh, full-time artist. Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
How
Mm.
does that feel?
Um, I was making more money when I was doing the art part-time. I know it sounds weird because the whole time I was doing it part-time, I was like, oh man, I can't wait to dedicate myself full time to this. I'll be making more money. I'll be making more art, making more connection. But what I didn't anticipate is that because I'm a work from home dad and husband and family man, and just the way my mentality works, my family always takes priority over everything. So uh, trying to negotiate the time between pouring into my craft and the family always won. And this was like in no pressure by my wife, my in-laws, like everybody was like supportive in the sense that do your thing. But for me, like how I'm wired is like I always had this mentality that I'll make it work somehow.
Hmm.
Um, I come to realize that that isn't necessarily realistic for me at this moment.
Mm.
Um, and I'm right now I'm working towards finding like a healthy balance because what my day looks like is like I'll wake up, I'll get the kids ready, I'll clean the house. Randomly, if any of my family members call me for anything, I'll I'll take care of that. Come home, make dinner for the family, spend time with the girls. My wife is doing her master's, so she needs support with anything. It could be emotionally because you know how stressful that could be, or it could be a second set of eyes on reading her paper, whatever support she needs. So after that's done, um, time to put my youngest to bed because my oldest right now she's in high school. She can take care of herself. By this time, I am tired.
Oh, okay, got
And
it.
it's right around like 10 o'clock. And the last thing that I want to do is to create art or work on any marketing.
Yeah.
But any bit of like energy that I have, like I squeeze a little bit out and
Mhm.
manage to do something for the business. But it's not to the capacity that I used to do it. Actually, when I was part time, I found that I was more productive for the business than now that I'm full time, which is crazy.
I get it though. I think
Mm,
just by listening to your day, I mean, it's because it's like you have three jobs, right? Like you have like more than
yeah,
three. Because you're up so early, you're doing so much in the day. By the end of the day, you were depleted, right? Like you don't have the
yeah.
energy to do it. And I feel the same way. I totally understand, you know? I mean,
Mm,
like, because I have a part-time job and I'm trying to do all this other stuff, like the podcasting and promotion and whatever. So I totally understand. Oh my gosh.
yeah.
It is yeah, it is a change. It is definitely a change. But I see you on social media, and that's probably one of the questions that I had. I'm like, I see you on social media like a lot, like a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah,
How does that
yeah.
affect everything then? How does that affect your business and your art? Because you're on it a lot.
So, so what happened was, 90% of my sales come from Instagram.
Wow.
Um, and I've put up so much content. I've built many connections that even if I slow down on Instagram,
Yeah.
it's like residuals. Like people know me, they recommend me, they see my posts. So I still get sales, which is amazing. I was also able to do like the biggest commission of my career so far.
What was that?
Um, it was a portrait of Lewis Hamilton. So with that money, I was able to literally take a break from Instagram and not have to worry about if I'm going to make any sales for the month or anything.
Holy
Um, I
shit.
was making sales, which is
That's
amazing. A 1 month break from Instagram turned into 4 months.
oh, okay.
Yeah. But meanwhile, I was still posting on TikTok, which to me was like very low maintenance. It's not as difficult as Instagram. However, with TikTok, I don't make as much money selling pieces on there. So that was the downside.
Mm.
And the fact that I had so much content from Instagram, it made it look like I had like an uber amount of content for TikTok. All I was doing was taking content from Instagram and posting it on TikTok. So it was literally like a no brainer.
That's amazing. And because the thing is, I
Yeah.
do see you a lot on TikTok. That's why I'm like, because every time I log into the app, I see yours is the only one that I see. That's the first one.
Wow.
Usually, yeah, you're always, it says you're always on, and it's always your image. I would say almost 80% of the time.
Oh,
Like,
wow.
so then what keeps you motivated then? What keeps you motivated to keep going?
Um, Honestly, having the luxury of being home and having time for my family, my motivation has shifted. Before it used to be, I want to create a career um, and contribute financially to my family's future. Um, like I wanted all my kids to have everything that they needed. I wanted my wife to have everything that she needed. If my in-laws needed any kind of like financial support, I wanted to be able to support. Now I have a different layer of appreciation for being a successful artist. And it's the time that I'm afforded to just, you know, have quality time with the family. Like the fact that I can, goof around my kids or even like impart like some real hardcore life wisdom to them. Like that part is priceless. The fact that when my wife comes home, because she's a midwife, right? She works 24/7. So she could come home 2 o'clock in the morning and like the fact that I'm able to have a meal ready for her, or if she's working upstairs doing her master's while working on some cases, I can randomly prepare like a snack for her, get creative with it, and then, present it in a way that just like that kind of stuff I didn't really anticipate, but I'm loving it. And the only thing that's missing from that equation is having the comfort of having money.
I just want to say that every person that's listening to this podcast be like, we need a Kofi in our life. Like the fact that you like making a snack for like you're so attentive. That's really awesome.
Yeah, I love it. Like it, I love it. I love being that way for my family.
I'm sure your family, definitely your wife is definitely loves that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like, who wouldn't? I mean, you come home, you have a meal. Like, that's amazing. That's awesome. That's so nice. And I like the fact that it almost seems like family first. I mean, you said that before, but I mean, I'm still seeing that family first over everything, no?
Mm. Yeah, absolutely.
So is there anything you're currently working on right now? Is there anything that you're working on?
Um, Currently I'm enrolled in a digital marketing mentorship program
Nice.
done by a black couple. They're really awesome. It's really helping me come up with a better marketing strategy for all my socials. I'm also working on a coloring book
Hmm.
and also designing a whole heap of workshops because there are opportunities that are on standby at the moment. All I need to do is create the workshops.
Yeah.
So in terms of like avenues or revenue income avenues, they're all there. It's just there's certain projects that I need to close up in order to activate them. But yeah, the book, the marketing, those are the two major things, and of course the workshops.
So you're busy. You have a lot going on. That's a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah, yeah,
I want to see that coloring book. That sounds like fun.
yeah. It's 99% done.
Is it for children or is it for adults or is it for anyone?
It's for anyone, but it's mainly geared toward adults. So right now I'm just trying to consider publishing. If I'm gonna self-publish or go the traditional route, and then I gotta find a really good quality printer.
And that's it, y'all. That my follow up with Kofi was short and sweet. It was great hearing how he's pursuing art while maintaining a happy family life. Congrats to you, Kofi. I also want to thank you for being a part of my book and for inspiring me. Thanks again. Before we leave, can you just provide us with your contact information so we can get a hold of you or see your art? How can we do that?
Okay. Recently changed my handles, so now I'm going by my full name. It's Kofi.Frempong.art um on all platforms, Instagram, TikTok. I'm about to change my YouTube to that. My website is just my name, my full name, Kofi Frempong .com.
Mhm.
That's going to be launching mid-November.
Okay.
But yeah, if you want to reach me, you can either Google Kofi Frempong, although there's a lot of us. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of your journey in your book. I really appreciate it. It's really an honor, especially considering the people that you have featured. Like you said, Dwayne Morgan. I noticed Shy Wisdom is on there as
Yes,
well.
she is. That's right.
Yeah, yeah. Just along with a whole bunch of other Toronto uh, big wigs.
Thanks again for listening to the latest episode of Words with Michelle, the podcast. Just a reminder, you can subscribe to the podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. You can also listen to the show on my blog at wordswithmichelle.com. If you have any questions, or if you'd like to provide a comment or feedback, or if you'd like to be a guest on the show, you can email me at michelle@wordswithmichelle.com. You can also email me if you're interested in sponsoring an episode. Thanks again for listening to the show, and until next time, bye.